Did you talk to me about Laura coming? Mm-hmm. Did you? Yeah, I figured.
I'm forgettable.
just I know.
Do you want me to hide under the
Jess
table?
Byers just kind of explained Jess's life working with me right now.
Oh, I love it.
Well, and like when I want to be so ultra respectful of your time that like I get through just like I just did, right?
Yeah.
Like before we do the podcast, here's the thing for you, right? And I'll do that, and I know that that's what it was. Is like Luke, you and I were kind of down there. We were explaining some things, and I was like, oh yeah. No, it was when we picked up the check. And I was here.
Oh, that's like a couple months ago.
Yep, a couple months ago, and I said,
no wonder
hey,
I forgot. I'm surprised I didn't forget you. I'm surprised I forgot her.
I was actually wondering. I was like, did anyone call Josh and remind him? Because like I would fucking forget. I won't be swearing once we start. Don't worry.
No, we already started.
Yeah, and I think you can swear.
You can.
Yeah, it's okay.
Everyone knows you're a feral barn cat.
I know.
Cave dweller.
My parents.
No, I'm not afraid to admit that I can't keep my shit straight.
Well, I mean, if you just look, so this is funny. We were Montana Knife Company. Montana Vet Program was here exactly a year ago on the podcast.
Oh,
like
really?
On to the day?
It was the release date was the 11th, and so it's so close to almost exactly a year.
That's
it's
wild.
Now an annual thing.
Yeah.
So we're just here at the beginning of March every year. But if you look at who's been on the podcast since then, when you have like the director of national security, the president's son, just it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, we had some pretty cool episodes for sure.
Yeah, they were great.
Well, and then I haven't done an episode in actually quite some time. So like you're actually seeing like our table changed out. Aiden is now getting on board with it. We actually just changed the cover art of the podcast. Cause we actually started a YouTube channel of which this will be like literally the first video on it.
Oh my goodness. The pressure now.
Which will mean no one.
I know.
We're going to use you guys as our way to build our channel.
Yeah. Well, that's a good start.
Yeah.
How are you ever going to top us?
Good thing Laura's here.
Yeah. There's actually no camera even pointed at you, Bryon.
Yeah. And that's fine. That's perfectly okay.
There's 3 cameras on Laura.
Yeah.
But no, things got kind of crazy and I kind of dropped off doing some episodes and then we've been kind of resetting things up. So you're actually kind of the first, like getting it back going for the year podcast.
Well, and in preparation for the podcast, I wanted to get caught up. Right. And I was like, oh, they haven't done any in 2025 yet.
Right.
Yeah. And so I was like, all right.
Well, between hunting shows and then inauguration and all the other traveling, it's just been kind of insane.
Winter strong.
All those unimportant things,
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a little bit busy.
I love what you've done with the place though.
Yeah. So I couldn't believe that you hadn't been here since. So that would have been like January of 23 because we moved in here January 1st of 23.
Or I guess the last time I was here, we did the Maggot podcast.
Did what?
We did the Maggot podcast with Brooke and Heather. We were talking about maggots.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And everyone found out that I love maggots and it got,
Yeah, it got a little dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people commented me about that.
Did you?
Yeah. For some reason that's the one thing that's really stuck with people.
What's your deal with maggots?
I just find that the sound of them, the sight of them, like comforting because I don't know. It's like it's whatever. I won't get into it. I'm not going to make this about maggots too. I'm a fan.
The sound of them.
Yeah.
Just gnawing away.
Yeah.
It sounds.
It's.
I don't know if I've really heard maggots.
You
but
haven't?
I feel
It's
like
like
it would sound like Jello.
Yeah.
Yes,
Whoa. He's
exactly
a
that.
maggot impersonator. I did not know this. That's incredible.
Yeah. So that was early on when we had moved in here. So you hadn't seen all the different processes and changes. And it's been kind of wild. We've hired a bunch of people obviously since then.
It's a bustling metropolis now. It's amazing.
It's its own little tiny city on a dead end road.
Yeah. And now it outgrew itself and it's expanding even further.
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Yeah. It'll be cool. We'll have a sweet podcast room in that next building and
I'm not going to come and see you for another few years just so I can be surprised again.
if you wait another year, we're going to be in it. So it'll be
wild.
It'll be great. I hope you don't wait another year.
I won't.
You're literally a neighbor.
Well, I'm going to start showing up unannounced again like I used to. It just was a little less intimidating then because there weren't 100 people here. I could find parking.
No shit. That's actually real.
I know.
Yeah. You probably had to park at the neighbors.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Basically.
Yeah.
Basically.
We're way on the end down there.
Yeah.
And then there was someone like flagging us into the road at the end.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was like, what does it? Brian was wondering if there was like a sign spinner now.
I don't know, but it was getting, when we had all the snow piled, it was getting to be a real problem to get parking around here. But
Well, it looks great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I tell employees that they'll tell these stories about the good old days, you know, about when they drove down a dirt road to Josh's house to go to work.
And they can park right in front of the shop.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I
had to threaten them. I told them no one can park up by my house unless they have a vagina.
Yeah. Well, I was like, isn't that a standing rule?
I told, Jess Byers, she parks up there.
Harder to walk with
we hired her husband, and he just thinks he can park up there. He pulls in there and parks, and of course, turns out my wife had given him permission. And I was like, no, you're out.
You need to start implementing fear a little bit stronger, I think. If people are
Nobody's scared of me around here.
Yeah, you need to work on that.
Actually, I'm very disrespected, especially by Jess Byers.
I mean, well, everyone has knives, so I think it's
She's flipping me off right now. So for people that don't know, I share an office with her, so she's kind of my roommate. So yeah. Between her and Hannah, I basically have 3 wives that
just
are on
keep
me
all the
the
Jesses
time.
around all the time.
That's why I look so stressed. I'm married to 3 people right now.
I know it's a lot of work. I can't even do one.
So what? What, Laura, have you been up to?
Oh man,
You've been traveling all over too, right?
Yeah, I've been all over the place. All good things. I don't even know
what did you
I've
do
been
in the
doing.
last year? Tell me all the things.
Oh my gosh.
Don't miss anything.
You didn't tell me I had to bring my calendar to like look back in time. I don't know. I'm just all over the map.
Are you teaching? What are you doing when you're traveling?
I haven't really, I mean, yes, but it always looks like different. It always shows up in different ways. This is so hard. How are you, Josh? What have you been up to in the last year?
You changed the subject so fast. I was going to ask if I could just help with jogging your memory, because I've had to do a lot of scheduling around the weird stuff that you've had to do.
Yeah, actually.
And I know that I could bring some of this stuff up by just like not talking about what it is, because I don't even know if some of the stuff I know is still kind of secret, right?
Oh, I know. Well, that's also the thing, right? It's like, what can I talk about?
So I know that you visited Mexico.
I did. I visited.
We can also cut things if we have to.
Yeah, no, I did. I did. I spent some time in the jungle with actually an MKC knife. Well, a Josh Smith original, really.
Yeah.
It was, that was pretty phenomenal. You know, it's just some light field testing that the world will know about in April. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was exciting.
I can't wait for that. And also that is going to be a knife that future MKC customers later in this year might actually see available on the website.
I'm really excited for that because it is a phenomenal knife. I'm pretty obsessed with it.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it.
That was one that I can't really talk about the other person and why I made it because I don't know if he'll end up going on and doing
the thing that's happening.
Yeah, a thing. Mm-hmm. But I made it for him, and then that whole thing fell apart for him, and then you had a thing. This podcast is going to be called We Had a Thing.
We had a thing.
We did a thing, but we can't tell you what it is, that thing. But I had made 2. I made one, and which is the one that you have, and I did some testing with it and whatnot, but it was a little bit small for my hand. The blade was a little shorter than I wanted it to be, and so I made one more. And to be honest, I just didn't want to let it go because I really liked it. And so I wanted to keep it. So I made a second one. I
feel bad.
I sent that one to him, and then you called. Mm-hmm. And so I was like, oh, so I let it go. But I couldn't think of a better person to send that or give that to. So I gave that one to you. So you have the actual original. I made 2, but that's the first one.
Well, I'll tell you what, when you start making them again, I'll take one of those and I'll give you the one that I took out on the original thing that I did.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We'll put it up in the museum.
Exactly.
With your picture.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
I hate pictures. No, it was so cool the way it worked out because I don't know. I can't imagine any other. I mean, I basically brought that blade out to survive with using solely that. And I'd never tested it before. I mean, it was like, I got it. I made a sheath with Francesca and then I left and I was like, man, Josh is the only person who could make a knife that I would literally base my own survival off of, that I wouldn't have to field test, that I could just trust. So that was super cool.
That's good. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, it's legitimately a sweet knife. Those are going to crush. And they're, to be honest, when we actually produce those en masse, they're probably not going to be a knife that we sell by the thousands just because they're not going to be cheap. They're hard to make. Like a blade that big it's expensive to make. They're expensive to buy. But if you're somebody who's really into doing stuff like you do in the outdoors and survival stuff, and you want a big bushcrafty, I wouldn't even call it bushcraft, but more of like a chopper.
Right. But that you can still butcher, I think that was the coolest thing was when you get food, it was still sharp enough after I'd cut down 1 million palms and trees and everything. It was still sharp enough to be able to do like the intricate work of butchering things.
Now, when you go, do you take a sharpening stone with you?
No, you can't.
You can't take anything.
So I have to rely that with full use, meeting every single need that I have out there, that thing is going to stay sharp for the entire time.
So let me ask you about this on past things that you've gone and done. So you've been on Naked and Afraid in the past.
Yep.
When you went on those shows, what could you take with you when you went on Naked and Afraid?
So basically you can submit what you want to bring and then they tell you if you're allowed to bring it.
Okay.
So
because I see you usually have like a bag of some kind.
Yeah, they give you the bag. That's actually where our mic pack is.
Okay.
So we kind of have to wear the bag all the time. And
I wondered why.
Yeah, the necklace is the microphone. The bag is, which is really annoying sometimes because it's always hanging off of you and it's always bouncing around.
Hanging up on stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but there's a purpose for it because else where are they going to put the mic back if they don't do that, right?
Yeah. And where do they mic you up when you're freaking naked?
So they just have the mic pack in there and then the necklace has the microphone in it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we always have to wear the necklace as well.
Okay.
And
two things I don't as a dude wear a handbag and a necklace.
Right. Well, me neither. Yeah. A satchel really, if you will. But no, it's and then they make them now. It's burlap, so it's a little more comfortable than the first bag that I had, which was made out of, I don't know, it was like this very coarse material that was super abrasive. But even now, you got to like develop the time to get the callus on that part of your leg because it's rubbing against there. And for the guys, I feel like it rubs against even more sensitive parts. So you got to callus that up too, But, then you end up using it also as like a seat, but then you have like a mic pack stick in your butt. It's super fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is
the real struggle of Naked and Afraid that I can
the worst
talk about.
We've covered it all before, but maybe people haven't heard it, but like, I always think whether it's Naked and Afraid or Alone hasn't been so bad because most of the Alone shows I've seen so far have all been in super cold weather. Mm-hmm. But on Naked and Afraid, to me, it seems like the bugs would be the worst part of doing that show.
Yeah.
Like mosquitoes. Holy shit. Because we have bad mosquitoes here.
Yep.
We didn't have them too bad last year, but 9 out of 10 years, we're going to have bad mosquitoes around with all our water around here.
Right.
I can't imagine being freaking naked outside 24 hours a day.
Yeah, it's the worst
part.
Trying to sleep. And you don't have any, even if you're wearing shorts and a t-shirt, right? You have some sort of protection where at least you have like your core protected. But when you don't have anything on, that's the thing you have to get over is you have to realize that they're not going to kill you. And not in the immediate anyway, unless you get malaria. But
I was gonna say, they can.
Yeah, they can. They absolutely can. But in the immediate, it's not going to kill you. So you just have to choose to not focus on that. Because if you focus on that, you're going to go insane.
Drive you crazy.
Yeah, there's no boundaries. And getting bit on the most sensitive part of the female body by a bullet ant, like that happened. And that's just something you deal with that you wouldn't if you had even minimal clothes on.
So those bullet ants, you were bit by one?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Like direct hit on the most sensitive spot on the female body. Like direct hit.
Really?
Yeah, it was, I saw stars. It was like lightning exploded in my brain. It was a pain that I've never experienced and I hope to never experience again.
So when we were in Costa Rica, they were telling us about bullet ants and how, like if you get hit by one of those, it's the most intense pain you can imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
wow.
Super intense.
How long did that last?
Honestly, because the initial bite was so intense, like it felt like it didn't last for long because as soon as I felt even slightly better from that, it was a few seconds of just like, I don't know.
Felt like you've
seeing
been shot.
God. Yeah. It's pretty wild, but you just get on with your day.
Yeah. I suppose. So what other things have you been up to lately?
Well, I did a pretty cool, I guess that was less than a year ago. I did a pretty cool trip with MVP and took some people out, decided we're going to start this really cool program that I'm super excited for. So we went out and did our little pilot last summer and it was awesome. It was a highlight.
That's the Montana Veteran Project, which is why Bryan's here. You're not actually just Laura's assistant.
No. I feel like that sometimes, but no, not at all. No, she's partnered with us. If you've I met Laura here. Mm-hmm. And so the relationship with you and her continues just circle. From that one thing. If you follow her at all on social media, you know how much she cares about veterans.
Right.
And so it seemed like a pretty natural fit the way things kind of worked out and are continuing to work out. And
so when you met her, we had done, that was 2021 in August, we had done a little veteran weekend here and we were still over in the 2-car garage shop.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In fact, I think we all sat around and did, this may be my first podcast, to be honest. I'd have to look back. It might have been number one.
Brandon
Lilly, a bunch of the veterans were sitting around you. Mm-hmm. And that was around, that was actually around this, side. That was this table in that building.
On the office side of things. Yeah, that side.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
I had bought a knife while I was here, and I'm pretty sure Brandon ran into your house to get it.
Oh, no, I'm sure he did.
Because there was storage just kind of everywhere.
Well, at that point, all our fulfillment was in our basement.
I was just going to say in the basement.
Right. And so, I was like, oh, I'd love one of these. And I think it was a speed goat. And he had to run inside.
The downstairs bedroom. And that's where we did that podcast was where we did all of our like assembling, packaging, whatnot for the drops and stuff. But we had done that veteran event and Brandon Lilly came out for that. Laura was here. Taught forging and some other things and then campfire and tents and all that. But that's where you guys first met. And then did you guys just kind of stay in touch from then on or?
Yeah. She had, because she was doing little classes on essentially just like starting fire from scratch. And
then we took a really cool walk.
Yeah. And then I was like, hey, could we just walk around the property and you show me cool plants and like what they could do? And literally just on your property, she showed me 4 different plants and like this one's for headaches. This one's for bug bites. This one's for if you get a cut. And I was like, yeah, we got to stay in touch because that's just the coolest thing ever.
Oh, no, it was really cool because one of the plants that I showed him to use for cuts, we actually got to use because Steven joined, the whole Blood Brothers thing. And he cut himself pretty good on the trip. And we got to use that plant to stop the bleeding.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was awesome.
What plant is that?
Yarrow.
I don't know.
I'll show you out in the yard when it greens up a little bit.
When there's not a foot of snow on it.
But Stephen Drake, actually, and I've seen him on your whiteboard out here for like a year. I think you've been trying to get him on the podcast. He was out with us.
He's a stud.
Helping us with the pilot.
No, he's, I don't even know why his name's up on there. But yeah, he's awesome.
Oh, he's so cool. And he's
great.
So we had everybody there. It wasn't on purpose, but everybody there had a MKC knife. And so we did like a photo shoot of all the knives that were out there.
It's like we were all in the cool kids club.
And then as he's like putting them away, because he had a couple, he cut himself.
Oh, really?
And Laura jumped up and goes, Yarrow!
I was so excited.
Ran off to go find some because she's not, are you okay? Let's do that. She was so excited.
I just figured he wanted to see how Yarrow worked.
So what does it do?
It stops the bleeding.
Really?
Like you mash it up into a poultice. Yeah, and you like pack it on there, and they used to use it in the battlefield.
Really?
Like the scientific name, I think it actually has like a Achilles in it or something, because they used to use it in the battlefield, and it's amazing. I actually, Jana Waller's dog too was bleeding pretty bad, and I ran out in the yard, got a bunch, packed it in this insane wound her dog had, and it stopped the bleeding. And when she brought it to the vet, they were like, "Why is it so dirty? But also it's crazy, it's not bleeding."
Wow,
it's a cool plant. Everyone should know
Interesting.
It grows all over the country, so that's the cool thing.
Yeah, that is cool.
Yep.
So, and we've talked on the podcast. I encourage people to go back and listen when we had you guys on. We talked about the Montana Veteran Project, and then that seems like you guys are just kind of keep growing. And then we did a kind of a fundraiser deal for Giving Tuesday, I think, right? Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, Giving Tuesday back in November.
Cyber Monday, Giving Tuesday. I can't keep all the
who can?
Thanksgiving things straight, but wrote you guys a check, and then. So you guys, you haven't gone on any trips since then, have you? Do you do winter trips?
No, we eventually want to, but with the 8 team leaders we have, to include like our executive director and myself, that includes the 8 staff we have. All of us are 100% volunteers, and so trying to do more trips than what we currently have, which we're doing this year. We're doing 2 more trips than we did last year, but it just gets so difficult.
Right.
Scheduling, and people have to ask for time off, and when you're asking for weeks at a time, it's pretty tough.
So you're taking more, you're doing more trips this year. Now how does that involve Laura? So like, what was that pilot that you guys did last year?
Yeah, we invited, Tier, Tier, he's been on the podcast.
I've never heard of him.
Yeah. Today's his birthday, actually, when we're recording. Today's his birthday.
60?
Oh, wow.
Sorry, Tier.
He's definitely older than me. That's all I can say. I think he's under 50.
He might be.
He looks great.
I think he might be like 1 or 2 years older than me.
I think he's 48. No. If I had to guess, it would be
he's way older than me.
48 or 46.
I look older than him though, with all the gray hair.
I just won't comment on that.
We had some guy the other night shocked that my wife and I were the same age, and he thought I was in like my mid 50s, and he thought she was in her 30s.
You just wanted to get ahead of the whole silver fox thing and like pull it off young.
It's true. Yeah. That was my plan all along.
Good job.
Thanks.
Worked out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we brought him and like Stephen Drake and his wife Karen, Laura, myself, and then we have on our staff we have Marine Scout snipers, and we have also mountain survival instructors. That's what they did when they were in the Marines. Myself as a combat vet and loving the outdoors, we have quite a bit of knowledge. And so the idea was that we would do this pilot. And it's funny that you're even calling it a pilot because the Montana Pilots Association flew us in.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we flew back into the Little Belts. There's one airstrip that's back in there.
Which is just the greatest way to start off a trip, right? Because not only do you get the scope of where you're going, but it was also like kind of a simulated plane crash, right? Like a scenario of being stuck out in an area like that. So it was amazing.
Had you scouted this location before?
Yeah. We'd already been. Luke and I had been out there. We wanted to make sure, and just like what we're going to do this year, we wanted to make sure we can actually
find water and
find water, find fish at least, and then some foraging plants that we can find because we want to be able to show people those things. And so we had already kind of hiked in there, and then it was like a mile hike. We went back, and then the way we kind of set it up for this, and that's not how the future is going to be, but we were just like, hey, just pretend you're going in on a fly-in fishing, 1 day thing, whatever you'd pack for that. And so we didn't bring tents, we didn't bring sleeping bags, we didn't have like puffy jackets. We just had like a little day pack, no extra food. And when we started it, we all of us, we'd be considered like the cadre or the people kind of putting it on with our participants. We started the trip saying we're not going to eat unless we find it. But we bring enough calories so everybody can eat if they need to, and do all of that.
Like a challenge by choice, kind of.
Yeah. And which makes it so much cooler that we're all kind of suffering together. And so, building your own shelters, foraging food, trapping, catching fish, starting fires, filtering water. Basically
going out and really doing it. And in a controlled setting, but actually really doing it. And it was kind of like, what is this going to look like? Because it's wild to go in with a group of people, a lot of us who didn't know each other, and you just show up and you're living it. And it was, it was only for, how many nights were we there?
2 nights.
It felt like a week, but
really?
in a good sense, not because it just dragged on because it was terrible, but because you just got to know everyone so well and have this crazy shared experience together where, it's like you became family at the end of it.
Right.
It was awesome. So, and so we're like,
that's
all right,
cool.
we're doing it. It worked. It was great.
Yeah. And we got a lot of good input because we brought people that, they kind of had an idea of what we wanted to do, but it was like, pretend you're buying a ticket for this. Tell us how we can improve. And so like the changes are like this year, we're making it just a little bit longer so we can have, essentially we're staying at a house for the first day and a half, and we'll do all of the like basic classes like knots and how to build a shelter and things like that, so that when we go to practical application, they already have that. We're not giving that class where it's like, you actually have to sleep in this tonight.
Right.
They can make a shelter and know what kind of things that adjustments they can make. Because when we were out there, everybody made shelters. Tier and I didn't. We slept around the fire.
You guys are wild.
Yeah, we slept around the fire. I was underneath a survival blanket. He was underneath the little teeny jacket he had. It just wasn't. But we just wanted to keep the fire going all night and kind of do fire guard. But everybody else, after the first night, they're like, we need so much more moss than what we use.
Yeah, luckily we had moss, and that's such an amazing resource for being able to stay warm. I wore shorts out there, obviously, because that's what I wore on a fishing trip.
Yeah.
So, it gets cold at night in Montana.
Yeah.
Even because it was in July and it still got down to 50.
What elevation are you at?
What elevation is that?
Probably 45. Maybe. You're that high?
No, we weren't at 7.
I don't know.
We weren't at 7.
I don't know. Really,
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was, Great Falls is 35. I know we were higher than that.
I was going to say 45 or something.
Yeah, 45, 55, somewhere in there. And you're right on a creek bottom, and so you're getting that cold air right off the creek too, but you got to be there so you can get food.
That is what's so great about summer in Montana is that it does cool down at night. We open up all our doors and windows at night, and
it's free AC.
It's freaking awesome. But that being said, like you say, if you're stuck out there in a pair of shorts, it gets chilly pretty quick.
The night feels really long.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you do for starting fires out there? Do you, you bring like a ferro rod or something, or are you actually doing bow drills, or what are you doing?
No. So I think we had a lighter, didn't we?
Yeah. So we wanted, so it's really cool to know how to do like a bow and drill, and things like that. But practically, if you're in a real survival situation, you're going to have a lighter, like it goes in almost everybody's pack. Mm-hmm. And so it's like,
instead of focusing on that, because that's a day.
Right.
Well, that's just it. I've watched you teach that class at Winter Strong. It's not a short class.
No, it's not. And it was one of those things where it was like, okay, the beginning of it, we started by showing everyone what we had in our pack just for a day trip. And it was really what, we all would bring on a day trip. And if you have those kind of things, and talking about how to keep, if it's cold out, you're going to keep the lighter in an inside pocket. If it's, you keep it in a Ziploc bag, make sure it stays dry, all these different things, just, having potentially a backup fire. But if you go out with those things, it's going to be hard enough to have to meet all your other needs. If you, the more you can take that's small, that's, going to fit in a tiny little pack that you're not even going to notice it's there, the more that you can just have with you, the easier it's going to be. And most people aren't going to find themselves naked like I do in the show, right? With like one item. So it's like being able to take something realistic, and then it really makes you appreciate that thing and realize, okay, well, every time I go out and every time that I step out of my car and leave the trail or leave, the car really, what can I bring that I can just have with me all the time? It becomes second nature.
It does make me wonder when I watch Naked and Afraid, like the whole survival situation. The first question you would have to ask yourself is, how did you end up naked?
How?
Yep.
How? Whenever would you ever?
Do all of you have Alzheimer's?
Yes. Yeah, we all just forgot that morning.
Yeah, you all just decided.
That awkward moment where you're like, man, I knew I forgot something.
I had a dream about this once. I was at high school though, so it's weird that I'm in a survival situation.
Of all the survival scenarios, I'm like, okay, so they're naked.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Yeah. Wait, we're not going to address that? Like, how did this happen?
Yeah.
But luckily I brought my burlap sack.
Right before the plane crash, she took off all her clothes.
All her clothes, just in case.
Yeah. She wanted to die like she came into this world.
Exactly.
Naked and afraid.
But coming from that, so the idea is that this year it's going to be a fundraiser. So May 9th at 5 p.m., we're going to allow people to buy a ticket. And we have 10 participants, 10 openings, where, this is the first time Laura's really publicly offered, come learn with me, come hang with me in the wilderness and all, and so that's the coolest part. But then you're also hanging out with, I think, a team that hasn't kind of been constructed like this.
It's actually such a cool mix, right? Because I love learning from other people, and I've done what I've done, but I mean, the more you know, the more you realize you can learn. And the group that we had out there was such, like, the skill sets it was incredible to have. Well, I was going to say, range.
Like, when I watch like Alone and Naked and Afraid and some of those different shows, it's like, I've been out in the woods a lot and I've hunted and I've done whatever, but like, I've never really spent any time like making shelters, for example, or when I see some of these people's skills they have with building nets for fishing, or I've seen you build baskets for fishing, right? And, all the different ways, the deadfalls and all the different ways to catch food and whatnot. And just I've even seen, again on Alone, like meat storage and how you deal with keeping rodents out of your meat. And
which we ran into.
Oh, we ran into. We had a mink steal all of our fish.
Really?
Yeah, we had 7 fish, and we called it the cooler, but it was just like we gutted them and then left them in the side of the creek so they just stay fresh until we were ready to eat them. We had about 7 or 8, and that's enough to feed all of us that were out there for a meal.
Comfortably. And everyone was working so hard.
Yeah. And then like we catch all these fish, and everybody's now like making adjustments to their shelter, and then we come back to check the cooler, and it's empty. And it was a mink that had stolen all of our food, which was such a cool thing.
That scent going down the river, that.
Yeah, and they're cruising the banks looking for food. That mink was so stoked.
Oh, 100%.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And the fact that he took all of them, each one was as big as he was. Yeah. It's wild.
Yeah. No, but that's, there's so many of those skill sets that, even capable people that go and hunt and whatever haven't actually spent time doing. Yeah. So it would be interesting to go and be a part of that, to learn that kind of stuff. Because most people don't take the time to just go do that on a Saturday.
Yeah. And you can read about it in theory and you can watch videos, but it's different when you're there. And the little things you don't think about that you need to know, that you need to do, and even prioritizing those and managing your time out there is, it's so much easier to learn by doing than.
So who else is teaching? Who else is there?
Yeah. Tell them about the crew.
Crew. So we have some that are unconfirmed that will be really cool, but we're still a ways out. This is going to be this July, and they're still actually, we'll just say active duty military, SOF, special forces type people that are on the schedule. More than likely will be there, but I can't really announce that stuff. But who we have confirmed, of course, Laura Zerra, myself, and then a Marine scout sniper, a Marine mountain survival instructor that did that for a couple years in California, and then a Green Beret that is going to be our medic. He was a medic while Green Beret, and now he's that's what he does now too, right? I can't remember what. Oh, an EMT. There we go. I totally lost it. He's an EMT now, but was a Green Beret medic. And so he's our official medic that's out there. And then just teaching, from those different angles, teaching those skills. And then we're also going to throw in, which we did a little bit of, but if you're trying to, for whatever reason, let's say you lost your tent because somebody stole it and that person's still been following you. How do you escape and evade, and get away from some of that stuff? And so it's a little bit of practical survival, because like you said, how many times have you been out hunting and not needed to survive?
Right.
And when you have Onyx, why are you lost for more than a couple days? Realistically, in the lower 48, you're not going to be out there for months on end. It's we need the skills to last a day or two. And so water and fire are the most important things. Food even comes way down there because you can make it a week without food.
Right.
Depending on how big you are. Laura might not make it that whole time, but
I'm really good at surviving without food.
And so it's just
you're going to be selling tickets. Have you already figured out a dollar amount for those tickets, or are they bidding on them, or what's that look like?
Yeah, it's going to be, so we'll have it's already created. We have an Eventbrite event. And the tickets, we've taken out the fee that Eventbrite would pay, but with the fee, it's $3,000.
Okay.
Which we think we wanted it to be higher. It's a fundraiser, right? And so part of this is this, but again, with Laura never offering publicly something, it seems a little cheap for that. But that's what we're going to do. Sure. We're going to do 3,000, and probably just depending on, the turnout and what.
How many spots are you selling?
10.
Yeah. So, and I've always thought this would be a really cool thing for people to do. We've talked with different people about doing stuff like this, but even if a mother-daughter wanted to sign up for it, or a father-son or father-daughter, or a dad and his two kids, to pay for those spots, you would actually go and get an experience you're probably never, ever going to find. I mean, I even know just taking my son to Canada on a moose hunt, right? When you go spend 10 days completely off the grid with no cell phone coverage and you sleep in a tent every night, it's the kind of quality time that you won't find if you have cell phone coverage and you're around society.
Yeah.
Right.
And so now this isn't that long. How many days is this going to be?
It'll be 5 days. And so it'll be, essentially 2 days of classroom time where you'll sleep in a tent in a backyard while we're doing stuff. And then 2.5 days out, actually practical application.
But I could also see this being even kind of a culture building exercise for companies, right? If a CEO bought 5 slots for him and his top guys, right, and they just went together on kind of a male bonding trip, but they also go learn something. They also raise some money, do some good.
Yep.
I could see one dude with one company buying all 10 spots. I mean, frankly.
Right. And that's actually one of the first ideas. That's kind of how this came out, was we thought of that as this is such a great leadership and team building exercise. And we noticed that when we just did the pilot.
Yeah, you really you learn things about people that you didn't know, and you have such a understanding of them in that situation, because you're taking away,
everything. It's almost naked and afraid, right?
And that,
with how naked you kind of.
And that was the cool thing, that we were, the whole suffer well and just suffering together through that. And the fact that everyone chose to not bring, to not eat food. Everyone was eating what we were eating out there, which we didn't know. Maybe someone's like, well, I don't really want to challenge myself that much, but we were all in it together, and everyone was in it, hard. And that was just such a cool experience to have.
No, that's cool.
And to have this is a great thing for our program too, is like we have a lot of, when we take veterans into the wilderness and the backcountry, we have a lot of classes we give on breath work and meditation and yoga and mental plasticity. And we want to give them tools when they come out that they can then use in the civilian world. And our phrase is kind of like, you were warriors at a wartime, now how are you a warrior as a civilian, as a father, as a husband. But what is a side effect, and we've noticed it on this trip too, is you're also sitting around a campfire for hours with Laura Zerra and a bunch of combat vets. Mm-hmm. And the stories that come out.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been around Laura enough to know that some of the stories are worth that trip. Just
honestly,
alone.
If we weren't doing anything else and it was just campfire time with Laura, it's worth way more than what we're asking for a ticket.
I would agree with that.
Oh, that's cool. It's just the range of experiences that you have. And then you bring in, kind of these unknowns that you haven't met before. And you're like, what kind of, and everyone has stories, right? And you never know what stories people are going to bring to the fire. And that part alone was it was so much fun. I can't even.
Well, and we had a dentist, I would say the least outdoor experienced person out of all of us, but still he'd been in Montana his entire life and gets a nice bull elk with his bow every year, like that kind of Montanan. But he didn't have like some of the gear that we did. He kind of had some sweats, and some different things. And he said at the end of it, he's like, I've been a Montanan in the woods during archery season for 20 years, and it changed how I'm going to act now,
sure.
Going forward.
Yeah, the only time to really know how you would do in a survival situation is to put yourself in one.
Yeah. And but it's kind of crazy to do that by yourself, right? It's so cool to get to do it with people who.
Yeah. And that's what John Barklow and I have talked about. We've been shooting some videos with John.
Which are really great videos, by the way.
Really? Have you seen them?
It's really cool. And you did one for the blog where you guys jumped in the pond.
Yep.
You need to do that more often. That was fun.
Yeah.
That was fun to watch.
Yeah. That's a rewarming drill. And is that video live?
Yeah.
Rewarming
I just watched it.
Or
he
hacked in. We're not sure.
What? Maybe not. That might be next week. I wonder if you just saw a highlight or if the video actually.
No, I saw it was the beginning part of one of the weekly.
Oh yeah. So no, you haven't seen.
Because you didn't explain the whole thing. You guys just did a quick little cuts.
Right. You just saw the highlight. But we have the full rewarming drill coming out where him and I go into the pond. We got, soaking wet, in all of our clothes, and then have to come out and, warm back up, get dry.
Yes, that's awesome.
And John explains that whole process, and
nice.
And the equipment and the gear and stuff. But that's assuming you're hiking with like literal full camp on your back and you like fall through the ice or something. It's not quite the same situation that you guys are doing. But point is, John and I talked about like, even say that rewarming drill, for example, it's not something you want to go do by yourself.
No.
But a lot of these are really great things that you can do in your yard, knowing that like, hey, if I can't get a fire started, like I can, ultimately I can say, okay, I'm a bitch and go back in the house.
Well, it's amazing how many people can't start a fire with a lighter, right?
Right.
I mean, you think it's
just knowing where to even source dry materials.
Yes.
Or how big a material, like, oh, go get some small wood. Well,
right.
No, I meant like really small.
Right.
Like you have
some grass and then a huge log on top.
Correct.
Why is my fire not working?
Yeah. Or you get the fire going and then someone drops a huge log on it.
Yeah. Or it's pouring rain.
Right.
What do you do? I can start a fire when it's dry and sunny, but that's not really when you need it usually.
No, like right now would be a great time. It rained all yesterday and all last night. There's wet snow on the ground. Like go source it and start a fire right now.
Exactly.
Today. Which is frankly when you're actually going to probably need a fire most. You're going to be wet. You're going to be cold. I mean, if you were out in those conditions yesterday and last night, you'd be cold and wet and miserable today for sure.
Yeah. And then you lose the dexterity in your fingers and it just, goes on.
It's a slippery slope. Yeah. But to be able to do this out in the woods with some support around and
that's the cool thing too, is we wanted to keep the numbers small because instructor, for lack of better term, to participant ratio is ridiculous. And the other thing is just being out there, you're all, we don't go into it thinking, oh yes, we're superior. It's like, you're all in it together. And it just creates this level playing field, with the wilderness being the great equalizer, which it always is. And it's just such I don't know, that's probably what I'm most excited for this year.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about, so the point of the fundraising, what you guys do with the money, with the Montana Vet Program. I know we've done the podcast before, but what kind of trips are you taking these guys on? So guys and gals, I guess.
Yeah, we actually just with the state of Montana Fish, Wildlife, and Parks, we just figured out that the work we do on the Smith, we've saved them $67,000. And with the amount of trips we'll be taking now, it's almost $30,000 a year that we're going to save them.
In what way?
We go down the Smith River where especially now with some federal funding and things like that going on politically, they just don't have the staffing to maintain a 60-mile corridor with 52 campsites on it, 52 or 54.
So you guys cleaning them up?
So yeah, we helped remove the latrines last year. So now it's strictly pack in, pack out. And then like we had that huge snowstorm that came through. I don't know if you guys.
So there's no more like outhouses or anything along that stretch?
No, you have to bring in, and so we even do it with our veterans too. There's we bring in our own porta potty.
Shit in a bag.
Yeah. Well, you can't even bring bags. It has to be. They have an approved list on their website, but it's
really,
yeah. They have essentially a dishwasher.
I'll just hold it.
I know.
They have a dishwasher at the end to clean out your septic little tank that you have.
Really?
Yep. And so you put it in it's essentially a dishwasher.
I'm picturing an actual dishwasher.
Do you put your actual dishes in it
with the latrine?
It looks so much like that. Like you strap it down and you literally just like in a restaurant, because I used to wash dishes all the time, and you put the lid down just like that, and then it starts up and goes, and that's how you get your feces out. But we clean up campsites. There was one that we did last year that we were there pretty much all day, just cutting up fallen trees. Put them into rounds and then putting those rounds into stacks. And when we're bringing 15 people down, we're doing 15 hours of work an hour, right?
Right.
And so for the state of Montana, that's 4 trips with the staffing that they have. And so we're able to do that in an hour.
But it's not all work.
4 different trips. No, it's not all work, but it is a nice side effect that we have. And then what we've noticed is a lot of veterans find this as their new mission, as conservation, right? At a generational mission that they used to be a part of when they were in, and then now they're in this generational mission. So to answer your question, we take veterans down the Smith River. We do 2 of those trips. Now we have a pre-trip where we kind of prep everything, because that's a trip where we can bring severely disabled vets. And so last year was our first time. We brought Isaac down with us, and he's missing both legs and part of one hand, part of the other hand. But we brought him 60 miles floating down. And then this year, we have the July trip, which will be a fundraiser, but then we also have an 80-miler that's west to east over the Bob Marshall Wilderness, but that's only for veterans that have been with us before, because that's a long trip. And
so you kind of vet them.
Yep. And then we have 2 trips where it's on average between 6 and 10 miles a day. You hike with 40 pounds on your back, and we camp. It's 4 days, 3 nights. All of our trips are 4 days, 3 nights, besides the fundraiser that we're going to be doing, the backcountry immersion.
Yeah, because all the trips that they're running are all veterans. And so I'm not a veteran. I don't go on those trips. But, doing a fundraiser is just a really cool way for me to get involved personally.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And so those will be the 6 trips we do this year. And our floats are almost full, and our hikes are about half full right now. And I blame a lot of that on you, is that you guys have helped promote us quite a bit. And as you've been growing, we haven't been growing as exponentially, but I mean, we added 4 new team leaders last year just because we've needed it. And so,
how do people apply?
Just on our website. The tab says enlist, just because we're always making a play on the military. And so you just go and you fill out the form under enlist, and then our female veteran team leader, Caitlin, she'll be in contact with you via phone within 48 hours, and then you figure out schedules, and then like physical ability, right? If you can't hike,
do you make them send in a video, or how do you like kind of vet them a little bit?
So if they want to come on a hike trip, we first have them kind of self-evaluate when they're on the phone. But then as they say, I want to do a hike trip, what we're starting this year, because we realized we've needed to do it, is they'll send us in a video of them just doing 100 step-ups with a backpack on. Because, you could lie about the weight, you know what I mean? And so they're just going to send in a quick little thing that says, hey, I did 100 step-ups, here was my time on it. So that we at least know that they can do that. We did have to pull one guy out last year. The trip we were on was through the Bob Marshall, and we go up and over Headquarters Pass, and we were almost to the top, and this guy just wasn't going to make it. And we found out he had surgery on his Achilles. And we're like, well, if we go over this, it's only a helicopter that's getting you out.
Right.
So like we had to pull him out, and I came out with him. And so that's why we instituted that this year where, we're going to have him send in, something to get him motivated. But the cool thing with that guy, he is coming on a float and a hike this year because we've been working with him since then to get back. We have a partnership with Mountain Tough. And so every veteran that comes with us has free use forever with their app.
Oh, cool.
And so he's been on Mountain Tough, and then also talking to we have one of our team leaders, Joe, who you met, is just awesome. A freaking sweetheart. He's an amazing guy. He's level 2 certified through CrossFit, and he's working on his freaking bachelor. No, I can't even remember, but he's getting his degree and helping people recover from injuries. Right. And so he's been working with him for about 6-7 months now.
Is fundraising a big challenge for you guys, or how's that been?
It's been okay. And honestly, like, I know we shared it on our social media, but I'll say it here. Like, your donation was our single largest donation we've ever received. And at the time, nearly a third of our budget. Mm-hmm. And so like pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. We work with not very much money. And our goal is to eventually we'll have some paid staff, and move on from there. So
is that why you have a gold grill now?
No, not at all. Not at all. No, I volunteer 100%.
It's like Post Malone over here.
I know. Yeah.
It's just these ones way back here. You only see them when I smile.
I want one too. That's why I'm helping out.
Well, I used to do the tooth colored ones, but apparently those don't last as long. And my dentist told me to use the gold, and I was like, heck I'll get that in there.
Gotta knock out one of my front ones.
Sounds like a savings plan.
But I think our only struggle right now is having the time to go, fundraise and do what we would call donor relations.
Well, this is a cool way of doing it because a lot of times people write checks and it's great and it's awesome, but this is a little something where they can write a check, but then also kind of get something out of it too.
And get a taste for what the participant, it won't be exactly the same, but getting a taste for what the participants are going to be experiencing and going through and kind of seeing it firsthand and knowing what your money is supporting is pretty cool.
Right.
Because you also get to hear our story. We have a pig egg with 7,054 dog tags of the men and women we've lost in Iraq and Afghanistan. And we didn't do that just to like actual combat deaths. Like that's people that have committed suicide. That's all the deaths that had happened. Accidental, all of that. Well, we carry that with us. So on hikes, everybody gets a FHF little pack that has their portion of that. And then every night it goes and sets up around the campfire with us. Mm-hmm. Well, that comes with us too when we're going to do this trip, and then we get to tell the stories of how that affects us, and
that's cool.
It leads into that.
That's cool. You do that. How many dog tags? 7,000 what?
7,054. And the last time we did an update was a couple years ago. We're due for one, but we want to do it right, and it actually takes a lot of work to go through that whole
figure
list
that out
and go through it. And audit
it's unfortunate that you have to do an update at all.
Right,
but it just creates a whole different feel too. You hear that number, right? But when you're actually seeing in every dog, a single dog tag weighs nothing,
right?
And just the weight that you're actually carrying, and it's really powerful.
It's 75 pounds.
Yeah,
it's 70. Well, it's a little. It's 74.
Yeah, like you say, they don't individually weigh anything, but man, the total cumulative weight of that is, and then the weight, just like you say, kind of mentally or whatever, the feel of that is like, damn, that's a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then a lot of the veterans we bring out have lost friends,
right?
And battle buddies out there, and so then they're hiking in the Bob Marshall Wilderness, and they don't know if that friend's dog tag, it's in there somewhere. They don't know if it's in their pack, and they're bringing their friend with them on this adventure. But it's also a reminder that like you're not in there. How do you continue to enjoy life and live life as they would want?
Yeah, I definitely don't want to put yourself in there for sure. Mm-mm. Yeah. It's interesting. No, it's really cool what you guys do. And it's why we selected you for that when we were talking about, because there's a lot of really great programs. There's a lot of really great nonprofits out there. Yeah. For sure. A lot of people doing really good things. But I think it's cool that it's happening here in Montana. I think it's cool that, we first met when we did that veteran deal. And I hope by the end of this year that it's not a third. Like, I hope that this is really successful, and I hope there's other donations that are successful to where our donation becomes just a part of the overall budget, which would be a huge success,
Absolutely.
So obviously this hopefully will even overtake that. So, it's
that
cool.
Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, it's really cool that you're spending your time to help with this, because you're being pulled out all over the country. People want you all over the place.
And out of the country.
Yeah. All over the world. Yeah. But appearing and teaching your skills and so it's cool that you're taking your time out of your schedule to support this program.
It's cool that I've structured my life. I'm really happy that I've structured my life in a way that I have the freedom.
You have structure?
No. Let me take that back. It's cool. I've designed, I don't even know what word to use, but I have freedom.
I've got this. When I called you and we were solidifying the dates for the July thing.
Oh my gosh.
But you said there's only one thing in my 2025 calendar that I'm scheduling around, and it's this trip. I'm not going to talk about the rest of it, but she cares about it so much that that's the only thing that she wasn't trying to interrupt.
No, that's
was
cool.
The dates for this trip.
And
but actually, it is cool that you have designed a life that allows you freedom to. I mean, yes, you're busy and you have a lot of things going on, but you get to choose where you want to make an impact and what things you want to do.
Which is so cool, because I want to do things that feed my soul. I mean, for me, that's what's most important, and getting to go out and do that. Like, I'm honored that I'm even invited, it's just such a cool experience. And then just gaining the momentum last summer by having that pilot I was like, yeah, no, this is happening and we're going to make it amazing. And I just can't wait, because you can plan all you want for what the trip is going to look like, but it's going to be even better than we think. And
everyone's naked, right? Just like naked and afraid.
Yeah, fully. Yeah. God, no.
No. We're naked, like in a.
That's how Bryon
emotionally naked.
Sense.
We're emotionally naked.
That's how Bryan's marketing it, and then they're going to show up and everyone's fully clothed and be like, "Wait, this is what I thought."
Yeah.
Except for that one guy that shows up naked.
Right. It won't be me, I promise.
What other things do you personally have going on this year that you have scheduled, or anything that you can kind of like talk about?
I'm trying to think what I can talk about. There's a lot that I can't talk about yet. But I'm planning, really the next thing that's coming up for me that I'm hyper focused on right now is just my annual trip out to disappear into the wilderness. So that's gonna happen the end of this month, and I can't wait. It's just my mental
you disappear
reset.
into the woods of Wyoming and you search for elk antlers, pretty much.
Somewhere in the tri-state of Montana, Wyoming, and Idaho, I disappear, and
You got to help me lead them off the trail.
I know. I'm going to Maine, and I'm going to disappear. It's awesome. It's such an amazing time for me just to be, to get to be alone and to get to go out and experience and just, be away from technology and social media and all the things that are so useful but can be consuming mentally. It's kind of like just the mental reset. And then, that's why I prioritize things like, this program we're going to run, because it makes me realize what's important to me, and I don't get pulled by all the different, stimulus that there is out in this world. It's like, okay, what do I really want to do? How do I want to spend my time? Because that's all we have of value, right? Is our time, and how we spend that's the only currency I really care about. And I just need to prioritize and really feel, without any other input, what I really want to do and how I want to spend my time. So,
sure. What did you have good success with your shed hunting last year?
It was a weird yes and no. I think it was, and again, it's not really even about the sheds, but I did find less elk antlers than I normally do, because there was not a lot of snow. So they were much more spread out. They were much higher. They weren't in the normal spots, but
I was going to say that, because that was going to be my guess, but my guess is this year will be really, really good.
I'm hoping,
because there's quite a bit more snow. I would think those elk are going to have to migrate into those areas more.
Yeah.
It's been a few years since we've had snow that actually made them migrate anywhere, or have to consolidate like they probably have been.
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be a good year, and I know it'll be a great trip either way, just because the experience, again, like every trip out into the wilderness, you can never plan exactly how it's going to go. And there's always things that happen that are unexpected. And that's why I love it.
Yeah. It's cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What do you have going on? Everything?
Just stuck here building a building.
It's so cool. It's just so crazy to see
I did draw a goat tag in Alaska.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, no kidding.
So Brandon and I both actually as a party. So we're going to go up with Cole Kramer and goat hunt in August. So that'll be fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So we're excited about that.
Is it like Brooks Range?
No, be like Kodiak.
Okay.
Yeah.
When is that?
It'll be, I think the opening day is like August 20th.
So fun.
We'll be up there for 8 or 10 days, depending on how it goes. I'm going to try to use my bow. I think Brandon's going to use a rifle, and we're going to go after it. So we've been applying for that for 3 years, and we keep not drawing. I think we're have the worst luck possible.
So you can decide what weapon you're going to take?
You can, yeah.
And if you go out there with a bow and then you're like, I would actually like to
you could switch to a rifle, yeah. Yeah, so like if your guide's carrying, say, a gun and you wanted to use a gun, you could, but...
and Cole's your guide? Yeah. Because in Alaska, if you're out of state, you have to have a guide with you, right?
Yeah, you do for goat and bear and
moose, I think.
And if you're going to have a guide, you want
you can actually moose hunt still, which I'm surprised, but you can still do that over the counter if you get the right areas.
Caribou as well, right?
You have to have a guide for
caribou.
You
do? Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yep. I don't think, you might actually be able to DIY caribou.
I think that's also
just buyers
based on your.
Can you DIY caribou in Alaska, or you have to have a guide? You still can DIY it.
Is it based on location?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because I saw a guy that had a short video of he did it driving from somewhere in the lower 48 for like $1,200.
Yeah.
It did a DIY with no guide.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long ago that was.
Yeah, that got me questioning. I was like, actually, I think you can, but it is certain areas. It's definitely not fully open. So.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be good. I'm actually trying to mostly just stick around this year because I am generally in the building project. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of every day there's a call about something, and we're just and now once we have like a bunch of subs in there, once the steel's up and done and we start working inside, it's just going to be a lot of managing that. So
I tell you, I've been trying to stick around too. It's not going that well. But I'm like, I live in the place that I want to be, you know, like I don't have to travel to see places I want to see because I could spend the rest of my life exploring here and not get to see everything I want to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just not working out as I hoped.
Well, I mean, there is a lot of travel that comes up that you just don't really.
Yeah. It always ends up being great, but.
Yeah. No, it's cool. I tell people, even though there's like a lot going on, a lot of stress, it's literally all good problems. Like everything that you would 5 years ago, I would have asked for every problem I have. Yeah. So, you see people, that are sick or have, issues with kids or whatever else going on. Like those are actual real problems, or like some of the veteran stuff and whatnot. Like my problems are all self-induced, problems that I created that I wanted, so it's all good. I can't really, I don't complain about any of it. It's just, but it is busy.
Yeah. I got 2 weeks before Winter Strong this year, I got invited, but I had no idea. Yeah. And like, that's what you're talking about, right? It's like, that's a happy interruption to your schedule. I have to go I have to go hang out with all these really cool people.
Winter Strong's awesome. And that's one of those I didn't go to, but I haven't gone the last couple of years, but I miss it. But I've been trying to prioritize as much as I can, staying home to watch my kids play sports because I just have a few years left of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And, but then like the week after that, was it the week before or I think it was the week after that, I was planning on being around and then Tulsi calls and invites us to her swearing in. It's like
so cool. She's so
That's so awesome. Yeah. That is so awesome. And then you got to go to dinner too afterwards.
Yeah, that was really cool. Her,
I think that was like the week after, if I remember right.
Yeah. Because we had stayed home and again, just trying to kind of eliminate being gone for some of the sports. But then I like call the kids in and I'm like, hey, you guys have like 3 games this week, but Tulsi called and here's the.
I think they understood.
Yeah, I was like, but but you guys are, it's their big rival, Dylan or whatever. And Hank's like, Dad.
Yeah, you're not going to miss this, right?
You can go to that. Yeah. Like it's just fine.
But it's good to have that open conversation too. Yeah. There's some people that have just made that decision without talking to them.
Well, I don't ever want them to think that anything I have going on is actually more important than what they have going on. Like I don't want them to think that the company or the things that I'm doing or famous person I get to go see or meet like trumps them or makes them, none of that stuff actually is placed above them. But
because of the way you've raised them, they understand that also they wouldn't want you to miss that.
Right.
I mean, it's like part of history.
They're happy about it all. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
When we were creating our schedule for this year, and we're also already starting to look into 2026, Luke, who was on the podcast with me last year, our executive director, our most important priority is being present for our family. And just like you said, the most valuable thing we have is time, right? And so that's how we schedule our years. How do we make even though we want to help veterans, we want to, do everything we can, we still, like, our only legacy is going to be our kids and our grandkids and the lessons.
Yeah, you got to strike a balance for sure.
Right.
And, definitely when you start to see your kids get older, like now I've got 2 that have left home. It's definitely, I'm glad it's kind of nice having 4 kids because the first 2 are almost a bit of a warning. Because like, it's amazing how fast, like if I would have just had 2 kids, like how fast they would have just been gone.
Yep.
So it definitely makes me rethink a little bit about like these last few years here with these last 2 of like trying to make sure, try to prioritize what we can.
Right.
But then you say no to something and you want to hang out with your kids and then you find out they're too busy to hang out
They made plans.
Yeah. I was like, why did I stick around? You guys are ditching me. But yeah, everybody's got busy lives. But
I don't know. I think when you're present for your kids too, it's like on the trips, you guys are really present there too. And when you know that your priority is just being present. And then I think that's good for your kids to see too, is that it's not just about all the stuff that's going on. It's like whatever you are doing,
focus and be all in
that. Yeah, because like the whole time thing, I mean, it's just being present in whatever it is you're doing and then choosing things you want to be present for is huge.
I do think that's one of the biggest keys of success is just being all in all the time.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Right, whatever it is.
It could just be fun, right? Like have a blast, like soak it up, enjoy that time off. But if it's at work, then be all in.
Yeah, you're spending that time anyway doing something. Make sure it's something you like and something that you're capable of being fully present in. Because if you're thinking the whole time that you don't want to be there, you're wasting the time that you're going to be there anyway.
Right. Just get the most out of that time for sure.
Or just being like on your phone too much, right? Like what would that moose hunt with Hank have been if you would have been in service and been able to be on, you know what I mean? Just like being present though, that made that trip.
For sure. Yeah, no, when you're laying around at night and you're staring at the inside of your tent versus staring at your phone, like it does provide the space for conversation and laughs and times to fart and stuff like that.
Well, and even being present in your own mind, so many people, they're thinking about things they have to do or things in the future or ways they could have done something better, but being present in your own mind, that's something that people don't do at all almost anymore. And I don't know. I just think that's whatever. Now I'm getting preachy, but
I can say, man, getting off the grid, like all the way off of it is
medicine.
I mean, like the moose hunt aside, just being on the mountain and eating a handful of mountain blueberries and looking out over nothing is like, it is really cleansing for sure. Like I think it's unfortunate because most people never experience it.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And that's the whole thing. Like, it's funny that this has come full circle, but our mission statement is really like, we believe Montana can heal our veterans. That's the meaning behind it. Right. Is when you get out and you're underneath the stars, or like when we're in the Bob beginning of September, end of August, and we hear elk bugling while you're trying to go, like it changes, and you have no cell phone service. Well, it just changes the wiring.
Yeah,
we're designed to be
even
outside.
If you take away business and kids and just say all the positive parts of your life, and you just have the ability to not turn on Fox News or CNN or, or catch up on the latest political thing or whatever. Like, and you do realize like, man, the world just, your mind quiets down when it's just positive things you're focusing on.
We're not designed for that much input. You
right.
know, I mean, it's
a lot.
The amount of input that we get, and there's always going to be negative input.
And some people are better. Like I'm really actually, I think, pretty good at compartmentalizing it, or just, I can consume it and shed it.
Yep.
And it doesn't weigh on me. Every now and then I'll get pissed off, but it's like momentary.
Yeah.
And then an hour later, I'm not thinking about it anymore. But I do think there's a lot of people that they wear that shit and it just builds up on them,
And it comes out in every conversation,
right?
And every email or whatever,
right.
When they're communicating, that they're wearing that so much.
Especially when it's stuff that you can't change, right? Like it's so distant or so far away from you or whatever. I mean, there's stuff that you can control and there's stuff that you just don't have any power with. And so people are carrying around stuff that they can't take any action to change. And I think that's just something that
I think there's ways people can limit that stuff though, where you don't maybe have every social media platform there is to have.
Yeah.
Like maybe
set up with
just have Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe don't
that's what I
also
do,
have Facebook and TikTok and Twitter and whatever all the other ones are.
Truth Social and all of them.
Yeah, just like YouTube. Because then it does feel like you're being surrounded and attacked from every angle.
Mm-hmm.
Like most people can take on kind of one fight that's right in front of them. Right. But if you feel like they're coming from behind you and the side and on top and underneath, like I think for certain personalities, that feels like a siege they can't.
Well, and it's a constant underlying anxiety of having to check all of them in any free moment to make sure that you didn't miss something that's so important that actually is not something that you should be putting in your brain at that moment. Right. It's just like a constant feeling of I need to keep getting this input all the time. And
well, I will say, like when we disappeared for 10 days and then popped back in, granted you missed 10 days of stuff, but it also, when you just open up your phone, it feels like you didn't miss a thing because it's just the same cycle every single day.
Right. Yeah.
And you don't know what you didn't miss in the middle, but you're right back in it. Like literally, it's not like you're behind or.
Well, we missed something pretty important when we were out on our trip and we came back and the assassination Trump.
Oh, yeah. See, that is a big one.
That's when we were gone.
When we were gone and we came back and we're like, wait, what? Someone did what? And it was wild that's I mean, I don't want to say that's the cool thing, but it is the cool thing about being out there is you don't know what happens and anything can happen when you're out there, but you're not thinking about all of those things. You come out and
do you know Sean DeGray from Total Archery Challenge?
I don't.
You guys know him?
No, I don't.
So he owns Total Archery, everyone in the archery.
Oh, then I know. I just didn't know his name, but yeah.
Sean owns that, runs that. But Sean was guiding moose hunters in Alaska on 9/11.
Wow. Oh, and the plane stopped.
Yeah, the planes all stopped. So he said, they're sitting on the mountain one day and they were like, I haven't seen a plane all day. And then like the next day, like hadn't seen a plane all day. Mm-hmm. And Sean said like day 3, he was like, now they're like looking for planes. And he's like, we have not seen a single jet in 3 days. And he said one of the, his guide service or somebody flew maybe a resupply or something into him. And, or no, that's not how he did. He actually, had noticed the jet thing. And so he turned on his satellite phone and called his wife just to check in. And she told him like, yeah, this is what happened. Like basically America was under attack. By this point, it had kind of happened. And we were in that couple days after of like, what's going to happen. But he said it was really strange because even being out there, like the world kind of stopped. And even being that remote, they even noticed there.
Wow.
Well, noticing a subtle change in your environment, I feel like most people don't pay attention when a plane goes over. But you're out in that kind of environment where all of a sudden you do start to notice that kind of thing.
You're a little more hyper-focused.
That's, well, I was out during, it was funny. I was out with my friend Tyler. We were on a spring trip and we were talking about how, this basically same conversation, just anything could happen and how, some kind of global pandemic could happen and we come and the zombie apocalypse is hit and we don't even know it. And then we just head back out. But we came out and that was when swine flu had hit and everyone was terrified it was going to become the next big thing.
Yeah.
And we came out, we're like, it actually happened. Do we go back in? What do we do? But it is.
It's, and like he said, for the next several days, moose hunting, he said it, once he finally got out a couple months later, he tried to catch up on some of the stuff, but, he said it was probably 10 years later before he actually sat down and watched. I want to say it was a documentary.
Yeah.
Where he actually watched like the whole kind of timeline of it because he had just never seen it, But pretty wild.
That is wild.
But yeah, you're definitely right. Like you could be out there and the world could basically come to an end. U.S. could be invaded and taken over and have Chinese flag flying over it and you'd have no idea. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. But, appreciate you guys stopping by. Right. I'm sorry I didn't know you were coming.
I'm excited. I was surprised.
Yeah.
It was a very good surprise.
Awesome.
Honestly, I think it's really cool what you're helping him do. And Bryon, it's really cool what you guys are doing. It's going to be an exciting year to see. It's kind of like when we started up in 2020 and like kind of got going a little bit, but then you start to like understand how to do it a little bit, and you start to kind of get some of the marketing figured out, and as far as fundraising. And then now that you've done a few trips and you learned some of the bumps in the road, it feels like you guys now are like poised to really start to grow this thing. And
it feels very Josh Smith garagey.
Yeah,
that we're going to be building a building soon. Yeah, it's not going to look exactly like that, right? But right. It's
But it would be cool if
very
you
much
guys
like that.
Had teams taken out. Maybe down the road, you have teams taking out people every weekend in the summer. Right. Where you have multiple teams that are.
Yeah.
You're scheduling. I believe 100% exactly what you're saying, that just Americans in general need to get off the grid, but I think it's really healing for veterans for sure.
Yeah, but
and go do something hard, and then also giving back, like cleaning up trail, cleaning up camps.
Right.
There's a little combination of all of it involved. Camaraderie. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's exactly what you're saying, and it's so fantastic. And I think, I don't know if it'll go to every single weekend, but for sure it's going to continue to grow.
Sure.
We want to do it at a scalable rate so that when we are replicating this, it's replicating the right things.
Sure.
And we have the right relationships. That's kind of where we're at right now, is just building those partnerships. And if people only knew that you guys were a partner, we think it says the right thing about us.
Sure.
Right. Well, and so we don't want to just partner with people that want to partner with a veterans organization. We want to partner with people that we have relationship with, and we know who they are, and they know who we are. And that's what it feels like, is that you guys didn't just pick a veteran organization out of the hat.
Right.
You're like, hey, we know and that's what we want.
No, it was intentional for sure.
Right. And so like, Stone Glacier, I just met Greg over at Everly Stock, and that was just an amazing. He's one of the most cool CEOs I've ever met. He's really cool.
Yeah, he's great.
And so we'll probably start something with that. But it's like, also, if they only knew we were partners with Laura, well, yeah, like you start to learn who we are, right?
Right.
And so that's kind of where we're at right now, is just building those partnerships and relationships. And we just appreciate you guys being a great example of that.
What's the website?
MontanaVetProgram.org.
Okay.
It's really, really easy.
Do you have a website yet?
I've had one for a long time, but I haven't updated. I don't even know if I think it's still up.
Yeah.
I'm mostly active on Instagram. I've done the thing where I pick the one thing.
At Laura Zerra, right?
At Laura Zerra. Yeah, I'm starting a YouTube channel up pretty soon too.
Are you?
But yeah, I'll be talking about that on my Instagram, because that's the only way people are going to know about it.
Yeah.
Well, when you get that going, come talk to us about it, or maybe we can do something together or whatever.
That'd be awesome.
But yeah, you have so much information to share. You should have had a YouTube.
I should have had a YouTube a long time ago, and then I kept telling myself it was too late to start one. And finally, I've just realized, you know what, I'm just going to do it. It's going to be fun.
Not naked and afraid, but naked in a cave.
Yes, exactly. yeah, exactly. Perfect.
Well, no, it's cool to see what you're doing. I love what I love about Laura is like, she just constantly just going, like grinding all the time. It's just seeing you all over the place, and I do keep up with you on the gram.
I know.
When you post.
I feel like you're the same though. We're all kind of in the same boat. It's just constant going. But.
What's cool though is like you have certain friendships where you don't see people in however long, you just pick up right
doesn't
up.
Matter.
Like I don't sit here and think like, well, I wonder if Laura's mad at me. She doesn't talk to me. And
are we fighting?
Yeah. So no, it's cool seeing
Josh
you guys.
Forget who I am because he's too cool for me now.
Yeah. Right. Exactly.
Thanks so much for having us.
Yeah.
It's super fun.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.